This program is sponsored by Cynthia McIntosh.
My name is Cynthia McIntosh, and I welcome you to Nuggets of Truth broadcast. Well, today I want to share a very powerful word from the Lord with you from 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. Listen to this. It says, in his kindness, God called you to share in his eternal glory by means of Christ Jesus. So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you. And he will place you on a firm foundation. I read that to you from the New Living Translation. And from this text today, I want to share this theme with you. Hopefully plant it inside of your heart, in your mind, in your soul. I think it's very critical for us, especially during this season of time. The global atmosphere requires us just at certain times just to focus on certain things. And I really do believe if you focus on this today, it'll be a blessing to you. Listen to this. This is my theme. Suffering, spiritual growth, restoration. Let me say that again. Suffering, spiritual growth, and restoration. Dear hearts, from this theme today, I want to let you know that suffering opens you up to a great move of God into your life. What is suffering? Pain, distress, injury, loss, disadvantage. You could suffer physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally, materially. Oh yeah, there are many forms of suffering. But this is the good news, is that it allows God's invisible presence to manifest itself into your life. In other words, God enters our experience of suffering with his presence. You see, suffering in this earth for mankind is what I call a relationship builder with God. Yes, spiritual growth can occur during seasons of suffering if we'll allow it to. Yes, during seasons of suffering, we are in a position where something is taken, our comfort is taken. And it's taken in exchange for spiritual prosperity. Yes, your spiritual prosperity. Where the visible experience is a prelude to the invisible invasion of God into your life. Let me say that again. The visible experience is a prelude to the invisible invasion of God into your life. I share this today because I really do believe the enemy wants us to abort the power and the plan of suffering in our life. Yes, he wants us to end it by taking our life, by taking somebody else's life because of our pain, our distress. There are many people that their pain and injury and disadvantage becomes so unbearable that they have to release something on themselves or on somebody else for a means of payback. But the true payback of suffering is our relationship with God. That spiritual growth and restoration. Yes. In this text. Let me read it again for you. It says, in his kindness, God called you to share in his eternal glory by means of Jesus Christ. So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you. He will place you on a firm foundation. In other words, suffering brings into your life 4 powerful moves of God: restoration, support, strength, and placement on a firm foundation. Let me say that again. Restoration, support, strength, and placement on a firm foundation. And I take time to talk about this today because I feel as a people, we have to learn. Yeah, this is a learned behavior. To look for the presence of God in our lives during and after seasons of suffering, with restoration, his support, his strength, and our placement on firm foundation. In other words, suffering is an avenue for God revealing himself to you. You see, God is a spirit. Yeah. And God is love. Love automatically brings in the element of healing. It's very difficult for the Lord to not fix what is broken. He always has a plan prior to the season of suffering, where sometimes something is broken into pieces. Oh yes, there's somebody listening to me right now. It feels like everything has come apart. Yeah, everything that held you together has now left, and you're trying to find all the pieces and pull them together. I want you to know God enjoys putting the pieces of the puzzle back together. Yes, he will pull you together to a point of your life never being the same again. Oh yes, God will take you through seasons where he breaks it down only to build it back up into something that you have never experienced. But it requires you to enter into that realm of suffering. So 4 things that we can expect during seasons of suffering: restoration, support, strength, and placement on a firm foundation. Let me take time now to talk about an example of being placed on a firm foundation after a season of suffering. And to do that, I take us to Genesis chapter 15, verse 12 through 16. It says, "Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And behold, horror and great darkness fell upon him. Then he said to Abram, Know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. Also the nation whom they serve I will judge. Afterward they shall come out with great possessions. Now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age, and in the 4th generation they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete." The hearts, you see in this text a conversation between Abraham. Yes, God is telling him that something is going to happen to your family, your descendants. They're going to be strangers, oh yes, in the land that I'm going to relocate them to. In this land, they will be put into slavery, taken under charge of another nation, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, not for 10 years, but for 400 years. Yes, they are going to serve a nation as slaves. But listen to this, Abraham. In the midst of this suffering, in the midst of this slavery, in the midst of this time protected season, yes, sometimes, dear hearts, God will allow our suffering to have a start and an end time. He doesn't always do that, but know this, that suffering has a purpose. For God joins every season of suffering in everybody's life if he allows us to. And Abraham was a man of God that was open to the voice of God in his life. And we've got to be the same. That many times we are surprised with seasons of suffering because we are not open to the voice of God in our life. It comes upon us without warning. But know this, that God uses suffering as a means of building up our relationship with him. And so he joins the event of suffering with a voice of hope or yes. So he says, now as for you, I'm going to let you die in peace. But I want you to leave this message with you people that they're going to come out of this season of suffering with great possessions. Oh, yes. You see in this example of people that is going through a season of suffering, they experience two things: restoration and being placed on a firm foundation. Yes. A foundation of things, of possessions. Yes, some of us need things to really fulfill the will of God. And the Israelites needed possessions. They worked for free without an accumulation of wealth for 400 years. And so what God did, he allowed that country to bless them before they released them from suffering. Listen to this real quickly. Exodus 12:33 through 39. And the Egyptians urged the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. Yeah. It was the Egyptians who had Abraham's descendants in slavery. For they said, we shall all be dead. And so the Lord, people took their dough before it was leavened, having their kneading bowls bound up in their clothes on their shoulders. Now the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moses. And they asked from the Egyptian articles of silver, articles of gold, clothing. Yes, give me my stuff that I deserve for serving you for 400 years. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Dear hearts, I share this message today to show you how a season of suffering can result in a return, a restoration, and also placement on a firm foundation. God knows what we need to please him. Yes. God gave the Israelites a firm foundation of material wealth. I hope today, Lord, that you allow this word to enter the hearts of your people, that as they pursue your will and your call, they will learn and understand that suffering is a part of their relationship with you. Well, beloveds, I've got to go. God bless you, and I hope to share again with you on next week.
This program was sponsored by Cynthia McIntosh. To hear this program again, go to FamilyValuesRadio1010.com and click on the podcast page and find this program and many others right there on FamilyValuesRadio1010.com.